Hello, everybody. How are you all doing today? I hope you are having a wonderful day. Today, I am going to be ranting to you about maturity in RuneScape and trolling and everything surrounding that topic. That being said, I do want to throw in a quick side note that, like a lot of my other videos that are mostly just commentary related, I'm going to probably throw in some sort of dungeoneering gameplay recorded with a couple friends in the background. It has no relation to this content at all, so by all means, if you're not interested in watching that, just minimize the video and play RuneScape or whatever it is. You're not going to miss anything. Now, jumping right into it, I want to say that my personal definition of maturity, especially in this context of an online video game, is being able to joke around and, be immature at times, but also knowing when that's not really appropriate, knowing when you've crossed a line, knowing when you should be a little more serious, and also just knowing that, there really is a time and a place. Now, that being said, I'm not trying to say never troll, never be a little bit of a, don't never tease your friends about something. I personally don't think the internet, I think a lot of people are going to agree with this. I don't think the internet is a very warm and welcoming place for people who can't take a joke, for people who can't take a little roast or a little banter. But I also think that the internet is not a very warm and welcoming place for people who are consistently and always just trolling jerks. Like, you can be this person that'll tease people and joke around a little bit, but the key to that is making sure that the other party knows that you're joking and that, like, it's this known fact that, yeah, you're just joking, you don't mean anything by it, and they can laugh it off. Now, if it's someone who can't laugh something like that off, then they're kind of in the wrong because maybe they shouldn't be so serious, but at the same time, maybe you are for not respecting that they get offended. It's like there's so much gray area in this. That's why I kind of want to rant about my opinions. And I'm just going to throw out like probably a billion different examples of what I would think, in my opinion, is like really immature that I don't like to see when I log into RuneScape. And, the counter arguments to that, and some things that I really think are super mature in RuneScape that I enjoy seeing. By no means am I trying to sound like I'm sort of saint on this topic and that I'm like this super mature RuneScape player that should be a player moderator or something like that. Like, by no means. I can be a giant troll. I throw around so much banter with my friends that it's ridiculous. And whenever anyone says anything to me, my knee-jerk reaction is to just say, your mom. Like, I'm not this super mature person, but I do think I'm mature enough to know when I'm kind of being annoying and when I've crossed a line. For example, like, I know a lot of people, when someone says your mom or makes some sort of your mom joke, like I do a lot, even though it's kind of childish, there'll be people who say, oh, well, my mom's dead. And even though, like, they're probably joking, I think I'm usually a mature enough person to say, well, if that is true, I'm very sorry for your loss, and I won't continue this. But at the same time, if it isn't, then your mom. And but on the same note, I personally have a friend on RuneScape who his is very close with his mother, and she has some serious medical complications, and I feel really bad about that, especially when my knee-jerk reaction when people say anything is to just say your mom, and then he gets upset because it's like opening up those scars for him and making him remember that if someone he truly, truly cares about is very, very ill. So I do my absolute best in those situations to bite my tongue and be very careful that I don't make a joke like that when he's around, because that's just very rude and inconsiderate and like the most asshole-ish thing to do, and I don't want to be that way. I want to be a person who's able to joke around and make people laugh and make myself laugh. And even though sometimes it's kind of at the expense of others, if, again, that people are able to see that I'm just joking and they can joke back. I can take a roast. But I don't want it to be at the expense of other people being truly and sincerely hurt. I think that is definitely crossing a line that in most, pretty much every scenario, should probably be avoided. And even returning to the previous example, um, you could argue that, well, Panda, your friend should definitely just like calm down a little bit. You're clearly not making some sort of personal attack. You're not some sort of prick that wants like awful things to happen. And at the same time, you would be right. Maybe he shouldn't be so sensitive to it. But I think this is kind of a topic where even if he knows I don't mean it to be a personal attack or anything like that, it's still going to be hurtful. And because of that, it's just something that I really try to refrain from. And, it's just so much in RuneScape, people can be so offensive without thinking about how it can affect other people. Like, it's one thing to just roast somebody and it be like this thing where you just laugh back and forth. Like I have another friend of mine where we will just say the most hurtful things back and forth. But because we know that we're both joking and we don't mean it, like he can insult my grades and call me shit at everything, and then I can do the same to him and pick on him for his his weightlifting diet and the fact that he can't eat after 8 o'clock and stuff like that. Like we can just tear each other apart. But then afterward we can say, all right, well, that was fun. You have a good night, my friend. Stay happy. And we'll be totally cool about it. Like it's all about being able to respect your audience, knowing what they are comfortable with and knowing, what you're comfortable with as well. Being able to respect what you can and can't say and just knowing that it's okay to joke around as long as they're not going to be super offended. And, by the same topic, like I know that, this is a rant and I am rambling, so sorry guys. But like when people are joking about an offensive topic, I don't care if people want to joke about offensive things within their group of friends that like think that humor is funny and can joke about stuff like whether it be racial slurs or things like that. Like if you want to keep that within your group of friends that jokes about that, then by all means go for it. I don't care. But if you're going to jump into random friends chats and spam racial slurs, then that's immature. That's just like that's ridiculous. Why are you doing that? Is it funny getting kicked? I mean, clearly it is, otherwise you wouldn't do it. But like stuff like that I think is pretty immature. I don't care, personally, I don't care at all if someone uses every drug in the world or does whatever they want with their life. That doesn't bother me. It's your life. You can smoke whatever you want to. You can drink all day. I don't care. But when people come into RuneScape and start boasting about it, then I think that's immature. You sound like a 14-year-old kid. And again, like I'm this 20-year-old guy who still says your mom at everything, and I think that's just immature. Like if you're going to do that, by all means, I don't care. But keep that to yourself or the people who can joke about that. Don't like boast about it at World 2 Grand Exchange like you think you're some sort of hotshot for smoking weed. Like it's you sound like you're 13. Stop. Now for trolling in the game that's less than vocal, like whether it be putting something in some person's way, like a boss pet or something like that, like in many ways, I think that can be an acceptable form of trolling if not if you know when to stop. Like if I actually PVM'd and I had some boss pets or something like that, I would have no problem going to Portables FC and starting using ranges, and then I drop a boss pet. And then people would be like, please dismiss the QBD pet, oh my god, and then they'd rage, and then I'd say, okay, sorry, just kidding, guys, and I'd dismiss it. Like, something like that is okay, because you're able to troll a little bit, and then you know when to stop, and then they can respect you for actually listening to them. When it's someone who spams marker plants, lights fires everywhere, and will never dismiss any pet, and throws up like 6 Shadow Drakes, side note, I don't think Shadow Drakes are really that big of an issue because you can click through them. They don't really get in the way of anything, but a lot of people rage at them for some reason. And I don't know. I don't really understand it. But like someone who does that and just doesn't stop and keeps laughing throughout the whole thing, like, yeah, you can kind of right click through everything and get away from it, but it does get very annoying and it is a very immature thing to do. And honestly, in a situation like this, the best thing you can do is just like listen to rule number 1, which is don't feed the troll. If someone's doing that, they're clearly doing it to get a reaction out of you and like feel like they're pissing people off because they think that's funny. And you know what? Sometimes it is funny to piss people off a little bit, but when they do it to that extent, honestly, I really do believe the best thing to do is just give them no sort of reaction. Because they see that, like, first of all, they're probably wasting money on a bunch of logs or different portables they're throwing around and shit like that. Like, if they're not accomplishing their goal of getting a visible reaction of pissing people off, then they're going to get bored and leave. But if you're the one raging, then you're really just fueling the fire and you need to stop. You are literally perpetuating the problem by doing that. Now, tying back to my previous topic about how I was saying to like know when you've crossed a line and things like that, I want to elaborate a little bit more on that. I don't want to say that like you can never make someone offended or someone's feelings can never get hurt by something you say, because that's going to happen whether you try for it to or not, because people are just, if nobody ever said anything that could possibly offend anybody, people would probably never talk, and that's just how the world is. The same way it's my right to log into RuneScape and freedom of speech and be able to say stuff, it's another person's right to be able to log in and not get harassed by everyone around them. That being said, though, if someone is a prick and they are a complete total asshole to everybody around them, and I'm not talking about the whole don't feed the troll thing. This is a separate situation where you tearing them a new one like wouldn't fuel them into continuing to drop portables at Livid Farm or something like that. Like, if someone's a total prick, then I see nothing wrong with calling them out on that and ripping them a new one. Like, they're kind of asking for it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I believe very heavily in the whole treat other people how you want to be treated. And at least my opinion, you can disagree with me if you know me or something and you think I'm like lying out my ass. But I think that I live pretty well by that, in the fact that like, yeah, I definitely roast my friends a lot, but at the same time, I'm totally cool with taking a roast back. And if someone just completely destroys me, then by all means, well played. Like, you win. Good job, my friend. I will take it. And, but like, on that same token, if someone's a complete asshole and is always a complete asshole, then like that gives, like in a way, that kind of gives you the right to call them out on it and be an asshole to them. Like, I mean, I'm not trying to say everyone should be an asshole to everybody just because, they took your fucking juice box or something. But you know what I mean? Like, if someone's just a prick, just in their nature, they're just a prick, then yeah, you could, be a bigger person and still be respectful toward them. But if they're not going to give that to you, who says that they deserve to get that in return from everybody else? Yeah, you can still be a mature person and talk to other people respectfully. And maybe you even try to talk with that person respectfully as well. But once they start being a prick, then you can call them out on that. There's not, like, that doesn't make you immature, in my opinion anyway. Like, it pisses me off so much when someone is just like an asshole down to their core, and you want to be a good person, but you just can't, because everything they do pisses you off. And like, clearly when someone is that much of an asshole, they are very immature. And you don't want to seem immature in the same, like, you don't want to be like stoop down to their level. If like that's, I think that's a good way to phrase it. But I mean, clearly anyone also involved in this situation would see that person X, who is a prick, is in the wrong. And I'm just ranting and I hate it. It pisses me off so much. Like, I think at that point, that person has like removed their right to not be harassed. Like when I said that I have a right to log in and say what I want, but other people have a right to not, get the shit ripped out of them by stuff that I say. When someone acts that way, then they're kind of like nullifying that right they have to not get treated like shit if they're going to treat everyone else like shit. Like, people like that just shouldn't be on online games and just soiling the community and just like, I hate it. I hate it. I'm calming myself down a little bit. Talking about maybe someone got like scammed or lured or hacked or something like that, and your knee-jerk reaction is to say, well, you're a fucking idiot, why did you do that? And maybe that could be the wake-up call that they need, but maybe that's also crossing a line. Like, clearly they have already kind of learned from it if that happened to them. And I don't want to say they deserved it, because I think very few people actually deserve to be scammed or lured or hacked, because the only thing they did wrong was try to, like, maybe their account wasn't quite as safe as it could have been and they accidentally logged onto a fake forum. Or as far as scams go, maybe they just weren't paying a whole lot of attention to the trade screen, and then, good fight bank. Or, and you could say, well, maybe you should have had your account more secure, you deserved it, but you didn't really do anything wrong. Like, you aren't a bad person for not having your account super secure. Like, you don't deserve for bad things to happen to you. If you're not paying super close attention to the trade window, you could say, yeah, well, you deserved it for not double checking. But at the same time, like, maybe he just wanted to have faith in the community and trust someone, and now he can't. If we're talking about lures, a lot of lures, as far as the ones I've seen people try on me or people talk about from people trying to lure them, like, a lot of them revolve around greed and trying to get the person they're luring to try to get money out of them from some sort of anti-luring or something like that, or maybe even making the person who's about to be lured think that they're luring someone else. And it's terrifying mind games, the sort of stuff people come up with, and by no means are most lures dumb. Like, they know a lot about game mechanics and they're very clever about how they do everything. But here is where it gets a little bit more iffy, because for someone to get lured, a lot of the time they would have to be really greedy and really try to, like, walk on the edge and try to, like, outplay someone else. I don't want to say they deserve it again, but maybe they do a little bit more than someone who was scammed or hacked. And in these situations, again, if I knew someone who was like that, I'd be like, well, maybe you should have had a fucking bank pin. Or, maybe check the second trade window. Jagex put that in for a reason. Or, maybe not try to drop your party hat to hope to get like 10 bill. Like, are you an idiot? But at the same time, like, even though I might say that, I would probably know when to back off a little bit and be like, I am sorry that you lost bank. And I do feel bad, and I wish you the best of luck on your rebuild and everything like that. But again, it's all about knowing when you can say things, being able to throw out a little bit of a roast, and knowing when to pull it back. All right, guys, I think that's about all I have to say on this topic. If you have an example or a scenario that I didn't really cover, throw it in the comments below. I'd love to give you my opinions on it. As far as anything else goes, try not to be too much of a dick on RuneScape, but, still have fun with the game. It is just a game. Don't take everything too seriously. With that, I'm going to say thank you guys so much for listening through this bajillion hour long rant. Have an amazing day. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Throw in suggestions for other things that you might want to hear me talk about. Stay happy, and I can't wait to see you next time.